So you use the music to help engage students in the learning and in the skills. Now, once you start to really design a unit, what are some of your key considerations?
Well, I have to take a lot of things into consideration. One is that I cannot, because of the nature of the school, I don't know for sure what the students already know, because we're getting students from all over the county, not just from a particular neighborhood or a particular school. So I don't know what they already know. I also, they have various levels that I have to account for. And I have to think about the fact that the nature of our school is so transient. Kids are coming in and they're leaving out. So we have to design units that have add-ons at the beginning, prefixes and suffixes at the end of and beginnings of every lesson that a student coming in could catch on. We have to come up with a way for them to be able to catch on, and then I have to find a way for a student that's leaving to be able to effectively transition in preparation for going back to their home school.
Can you give an example of what that might look like?
Okay, so if I'm teaching something, some concept, and I have a co-teacher who is awesome. Her name is Deborah Lesage, and we work so well together, and it's been cultivated over a few years of us working together. If I am taking on the task of teaching a concept, Miss Lesage will have her notebook, and the students don't know this, but she's modeling what they should be doing. So she'll walk through the class and ask questions, and she'll interject when necessary, but she'll write the notes. And she'll go up to certain students and say, this is what my notes say. What do yours look like this? Am I doing it correctly? And she'll sometimes put something wrong so they can correct her so she knows that they're on task. And what that does is make sure our students coming in know what to do. She's modeling it for them. Those students who are leaving know they have the correct information. And if we get a new student, she takes copies of her notes and gives it to them so they're already
So they're learning the expectations for note-taking, and they're getting notes, and they're getting a model, and the other students are getting reinforcement. Now, that's a collab class. What about if you're by yourself?
By myself, I will normally model on the board because we use Promethean software. So I will model on the board, and I will take notes on the board and move things around. And I say, your notes should look like this. So then if I get a new student, sometimes I will give my students an opportunity to share to see if they have really gotten into my routine, because I start to train them that if a new student comes in, this is a family, they have we can't leave anybody, make sure they have it, but even if they don't, I can print that out for them to put into their notebook so at least they have a place to start from.
So it sounds like you're teaching a lot of organization,
right,
a lot of note-taking skills,
right,
modeling it, but also building a classroom culture.
Right, because it's an alternative school, while I have academic goals, one of my school-wide goals is to prepare them to go back to their home school and never have to come back to the alternative school. So my goals are twofold. I want them to be great students academically, and great students people. So they start to learn how to collaborate and work together.
So as you're almost using that transientness to teach them about bringing people in, teaching them this is how we do things here,
and
these are our processes
skills,
and procedures.
And their routine. So my class can start itself for 15 minutes before I even have to talk.
And I know it's, for those people who've been in that type of environment, a new student coming in after you've built a certain vibe can throw things off completely if you don't have that real structure.
So students will come in and watch, and then I won't say anything on purpose just to see, and a student will say, oh, the agenda's on the board and the sponge is on this side. She's going to give you this paper. You just go ahead and copy that into your agenda. She's going to give you this paper, and then I'll tell you what to do after that. And I'll go, yes.
Victory. So what about the skills in the unit? So you've sort of designed some ways to catch kids up who may be coming in. What about just the overall teaching struggling students' key thinking skills? Well,
it's kind of the straw brick thing again, because I need to make sure that they have certain skills, but I don't know if they have them, so I always start from the beginning. Now, if I find when I start from the beginning, the majority of the students have it, they recall it from middle school or wherever, then I can go quicker through the process. But what I will do is that I'll take something very simple to make sure that they have an understanding, because with Common Core, there's a focus on informational text. And we're not leaving the literature behind, but they need to be able to do both. So I'll give them something simple. I'll go through plot structure with them, or I will make sure that they understand it, and we'll unpack the standard together. I'll give them...
Go ahead.
I'll give them something simple like the standard, and I'll ask them, I say, this is how you speak. So what does that mean? What is evidence? And they say, I don't know what evidence is. That's proof. they'll know what it is. And so we'll break down the standard and then rewrite it.
Okay.
And then when I say unpack, then they'll say, well, what does that unpack mean? Like if you're unpacking your clothes, taking everything out, you're breaking it down. And then Miss Lesage will say something like, is that like decoding? Because my niece has a decoder ring. That means she can figure out what things mean. And we break it down to make sure they know what's expected of them.
And it sounds like that's actually one of the types of reading skills you're going to be teaching them.
Exactly.
So you're getting two things. You're helping them set goal and understand the objectives.
Right.
But you're also helping them do the process
right.
of unpacking things.
And then there's no surprise about what I want from them because it's already coming from the standard.
Okay. And what about text? Where do you start in terms of moving towards complex text?
Well, once we go through plot structure and all of those things and I make sure that they have it, I'll give them some type of handout where they can record their answers, and I'll give them something simple like Little Red Riding Hood. There's a video that hopefully we'll be able to link to, but there's a video and they look at Little Red Riding Hood and they put every part of it on the plot structure because I know that I'm going to use that to make it informational later. So that's where we would start. And then after we do that and I make sure that we have mastery on those basic skills, I start to talk to them about reading informational text and how you have to look at significant details and analyze the author's purpose and how that's different from a narrator and how that's different from a conflict. So we start there.
So so we'll look at what that looks like with some of the tools and worksheets that you use in our next video.